In this video, I'm going to tell you why I don't use Woocommerce for myself and for most of my clients and what you should use instead. Hello, I'm your host Casino from Casino.com. I'm the digital alchemist, and you may be wondering why I don't use Woocommerce, because I'm a web designer / front-end developer, so I could build it with ease. So I'm going to tell you the reasons why in a moment, as well as the one thing that nobody ever talks about when it comes to tools like Woocommerce and how it can save you and your clients a lot of money. So in this video, we'll talk about the power of Woocommerce, the downsides of Woocommerce, as well as some case studies that you don't want to miss because it's going to be eye-opening. So let's start with the power of Woocommerce. Well, first of all, Woocommerce is free. Well, not exactly, and I'll tell you why in a moment, but at its core, it's free and it's built on top of WordPress, which is also free. So theoretically, if you have a domain name and a web hosting plan, you can be in business. Now, I don't know if you recall, but a long time ago, this used to cost a lot of money when there was no WordPress. And if you wanted to build a cart online, it was either custom or the first solutions that came out were a few thousands of dollars. And I'm being nice here. So we're really lucky to have tools like Woocommerce. And I know we have tools like Shopify and many other tools. But Woocommerce is really a game changer when it comes to e-commerce. And you can build pretty amazing websites with Woocommerce. And if you don't believe me, you only have to check the showcase from Woocommerce itself. And there are a few brands that you may recognize here. So it's really solid. And because it's free, it doesn't mean that it has to look cheap. Let's look at this website, Joko, which I don't know, but it looks really beautiful in my opinion. Well, this is powered by Woocommerce, so you can really use the power of a free tool to build a full-blown professional e-commerce website. Next, Woocommerce is rock solid. So let's take a look at this article from the WeDevs website. So it's from wedevs.com. And if we take a look at the top million sites, we can see that 24% of those top million sites are actually powered by Woocommerce. So that's a huge market share. It's actually the leader when you take a look at this chart. And then if we take a look at the Woocommerce ecosystem within WordPress, we can see that it's got a 78% share. And that's amazing. 78% share within WordPress. So you can see the competitors are WP e-commerce with 9%, Easy Digital Downloads with 2.7%, JigoShop with 1%, and then they only have a few percent of market share. And the biggest part of the cake is taken by Woocommerce. So it tells you how solid Woocommerce is. Next, Woocommerce is versatile. It's so versatile because it's built on top of WordPress. So you can build pretty much anything you want. It's just crazy what you can do nowadays by just using plugins. You can create websites that used to cost like 5 or 10 times more before. And now you can just build it from the comfort of the WordPress interface and the WordPress store. And when it comes to Woocommerce, it doesn't fall short because there are so many dedicated extensions from either from Woocommerce itself or from third-party extensions. That's just crazy. For example, did you know that you can build apps, and I'm talking about native apps like iOS and Android apps from a WordPress website. So if you power your website with WordPress and Woocommerce, so you got a full-blown online store, you can turn it into an app, a native app. And that's crazy. If you're building it for yourself or for your clients, there's so much value packed in this. Okay, so that was for the pros, and don't get me wrong, Woocommerce is a fantastic platform, but there are some downsides. And one of the first downsides is that even though it's rock solid, it can also be weak. And that's what happens with most of websites built on top of WordPress. Even though I love WordPress, but the thing is, the more plugins you use, the more opportunities you have for failure. Whether you're using free plugins or paid ones, the thing is, you can get hacked if you don't take care of your WordPress install. And that's really dangerous. Now, I think that there are more risks with the free plugins, unless those free plugins are developed by security conscious developers that update their plugins, or they built by companies that actually make money with premium plugins and they have like a freemium model, or maybe they have one or a couple of free plugins and the rest are paid plugins. So they have the money, they have the staff required to work on the maintenance. And that's what you want to look for. That's why I always advise you to get some premium plugins. And I know it's a cost, but at least you get what you pay for. There's someone actively developing the plugin and they can maintain and make sure that the plugin is safe. And when it comes to Woocommerce, it's the same thing. You're going to find plugins made by Woocommerce, so you can feel like pretty safe that they're going to update it, and they should. Or you can get, some plugins that got developed by someone that was really enthusiastic about building maybe his first plugin, or maybe he or she built a few plugins, but then something comes up and they don't have time to develop it anymore. So you gotta be really, really careful. That's more about WordPress in general, but we're talking about WooCommerce here, and WooCommerce is built on top of WordPress. So periodically this happens. You get critical vulnerabilities just like in any other plugin. So WooCommerce, even though it's rock solid, like I said, it can also be weak. Maybe if it was a standalone, it would be a different story, but because it's built on top of WordPress, this is what you get. Next, WooCommerce is far from being free. Now, I know that in the first part of this video, I told you that it was free and that theoretically you can build a full-blown e-commerce professional website with just a domain name and a web hosting solution. But that's like a fairy tale, because the truth is it can cost a lot of money and it can quickly add up. And if you don't believe me, let me show you this. So if we take a look here, we have one of the extensions. The popular extensions is WooCommerce Bookings, and it's $249 annually. Next, we have this one here, WooCommerce Subscriptions, and it's $199 annually. And I can go on and on and on. This is table rate shipping, $99 per year. So you get the idea. It can quickly add up, especially if you want to follow the legislation, you want to follow the rules, because maybe if you're in a country where they don't mind, they can accept a receipt, and I think it's the case in the US, but in some European countries, most of Europe actually, they ask you a proper invoice. And then in some countries, they say that the number of the invoices has to be sequential. So the first invoice has to be number 1, number 2, and so on. You cannot get any random number like it's usually the case in some of these solutions. So you really got to be careful, because it can quickly add up. And even if you think, okay, I don't need this, I don't need subscriptions, but even for just the basic features, if you want to follow the rules, make sure that your website is compliant, it's going to cost you a few $100s. Or you can go the route of adding, instead of 2 official plugins, you're going to add like 10 or 15 or 20 plugins to try to mimic all that the premium plugins do. But then you multiply the risk of the security that we talked about previously. So no, WooCommerce is not free. It's actually very far from being free. And a little bit later in the video, I'm actually going to break down the pricing so you can see what I'm talking about when we go to the case studies. Next, WooCommerce is a tool and not a solution. Now, wait. What do you mean WooCommerce is not a solution but just a tool? Well, the way I think about a solution is really what it says, a solution. So for me, the solution would be, okay, I'm going to build an e-commerce website and I want everything to be handled by one solution. Whereas in this case, WooCommerce is only a tool, and I'm going to prove it to you. So let's take a look at this website. This is the European Commission website. So this is the EU VAT. And maybe you're not concerned with the EU. Maybe you live, in Brazil, or you live in the US, and you're thinking, okay, this is not relevant for me. But it is relevant for you, because I'm just going to give the example here of the European Union, but you can just use this and apply it to your own country. So let's say that you need to sell some goods in the EU. And the thing is, for example, for digital goods, you need to pay the VAT in the country of the person actually purchasing. So when you're going to file the VAT returns, now you need to make sure you file it for each country. So let's say that in 1 month, you sell 28 of your items. I think there are 28 member states in the EU. Now, just imagine that each person is from a different state in the EU. Well, you need to file returns for each individual country. Now, they made I think it's called the MOS or Mini-MOS. They try to make it easier, but still, it's going to be more work. Now, there are some tools that try and automate that, but in real life, it doesn't quite work that well. And this is the one thing that nobody talks about when it comes to creating e-commerce website with a tool like WooCommerce, or there are some other similar tools. So it's not specific to WooCommerce, but because WooCommerce is the biggest part in the pie, I need to talk about this. And it's simply the fact that in the example I just gave, let's say that your CPA or certified public accountant has to write 30 filings. It's going to cost you more at the end of the day, or at the end of the month, and at the end of the year, of course. And we're going to break it down in a moment. So one of the solutions that you can use instead, and that I'm using for myself and for some of my clients, is to use a merchant of record. Now, what is that? So this is an article from the Paddle website, and Paddle is a merchant of record. So basically, a merchant of record is a term used to describe the legal entity selling goods or services to an end customer. Okay, I'm going to make this easier. So basically, you are the seller and this is the merchant of record. So the merchant of record is actually purchasing the product from you and selling to the end customer. And the merchant of record takes care of all the filing. So if it's EU VAT, it's going to take care of it. If it's a specific law from the US, they're going to take care of it. If it's a special law from Brazil or Vietnam or wherever you live, they're going to take care of it. So basically what they pay you is just the money that's in your pocket, okay, minus the other taxes in your country, but you don't have to take care of all these really complex EU VAT or other similar laws, and you can just focus on your business. Now, the added benefit is that your CPA only gets one line that they have to take care about. So let's say that the merchant of record only pays you once per month. So let's say you sold your product 1,000 times last month. That would be great, right? But if your CPA has to actually write each line individually, that's going to cost you way more, even though I know they're using programs, but you get the idea. It's going to cost you way more than if you get one payment for the exact same amount. The only difference is that there's a lot less work for your CPA, and thus you can negotiate the rate with your CPA, and you're going to spend less money each and every month and less money at the end of the year. And once again, stick with me because I'm going to show you that in the case studies. So here are a few examples of merchants of record. So here we have FastSpring, which I've already used. Next, we have Freemius, and actually Freemius, they have a dedicated page. So here it says collecting UVAT in Europe, what WordPress plugin and theme sellers need to know. And that's why I really want to stress that fact. It's not because you're using WooCommerce that you have a full solution. You only have a tool. But the tool can only go so far. It's not going to take care of all this mumbo jumbo and all this hassle when it comes to taxes and various laws. Once again, I don't want to focus on the EU VAT. You really need to bear in mind that there are many of these rules worldwide, and you may be concerned. You're probably concerned because most of the people don't know, but even if you're not in the EU says that if you sell to an EU citizen, you are supposed to actually file the tax returns in the EU. I know that's crazy, right? And just imagine if each country on earth had a similar law. When I say similar, not the exact same law, but with their own regulations. So you would have to take care of hundreds of different regulations for your e-commerce website. And that's where the merchant of record come in, and they take a small cut, they take a commission, they've various pricing. It really depends on whether you're using FastSpring, Freemius, or Digistore. Here we have Digistore 24. They take a cut, but at the same time, they do so much work. So it's really an amazing solution. And that's what I call a solution. So from the beginning to the end, they take care of everything, and then you can focus on your business. Okay, next, let's take a look at some case studies, shall we? So the first case study is a holiday rental. So this was a client that came to me. He wanted to have a holiday rental website because he's already on Airbnb, Booking, and a few other platforms. But he knew that if he wanted to have the edge over the competition, having a website could be nice. Also, the fact that if people learn that he has a website, the next time maybe they don't go on the platform, and that he doesn't have to give the big cut to the platform. So that's the idea behind it. So building a holiday rental website is pretty easy, but the issue was he wanted people to be able to pay online. And when I say issue, it's just because you need to take into consideration the fact that you need to sync the calendar with the other platforms. So here is a breakdown for this type of project if it was built with WooCommerce. Now, these are not the exact figures. I just try to pick easy numbers. And if you charge more, don't scream. And if you charge less, don't scream also. This is just to show you what it could cost with WooCommerce versus an external solution. Okay, so for the website, let's say it's between 5K and 10K for a fully custom WooCommerce website. Then for the plugins, as we saw, it can quickly add up. Let's say it's 1K per year between the WordPress and WooCommerce plugins. And then you need to sync the booking. So there are many different solutions and prices, but I just did a random search in Google, and one of the first company that actually offered this service was $15 per month for the basic plan. So, I'm trying to be conservative here. I'd say it's $15 per month. So for the maintenance cost, once again, I'm being conservative here. $200 per month for a full-blown e-commerce website with many plugins and many responsibilities. Could be around $200 per month. So in this example, the total would be $5,000 for building the website. And then per year, the client would have to pay $3,580. So after 5 years, it would have cost $23,000. Now, what I advise my client to do instead is to use an external solution. So in this example, the website will be between 3K and 5K. The plugins would amount to $300 per year. And the solution to sync the bookings would be $40. But actually, it's way more than just syncing the bookings, because what this platform does, not only do they sync the bookings, but you can actually pay from their platform. So they take care of all the payment, all the hassle. And like we saw earlier, what you get is what you get minus all the trouble, so you can focus on your business. Now, when it comes to maintenance, once again, I've been conservative here with $67 per month. So the total will be $3K for building the website, and then $1,584 per year for the rest of the items. So after 5 years, it will be a $10K operation. So as you can see, that's a huge difference. It's more than the double. So 23K on one side and 10K on the other side. Plus, you have less stress with the second solution, and you pay less also. Because with the first solution, okay, you pay all of that, but then you're also responsible for a lot of moving parts. And that's really stressful. You already have the stress of being an entrepreneur, or maybe it's your client. You already have that stress, and then you need to take care of all those responsibilities while paying more than twice the price. So I think you can understand why I advise my client to pick that solution. And my client is really happy. Okay, the next case study is about a pastry chef willing to sell these cakes online. So here's the breakdown. For the website, between 5K and 10K. For the plugins, it will be 1K per year. And for the maintenance costs, as we saw previously, about $200 per month. So once again, I've been really conservative because, like I said, the website could be between 5 and 10K. I've put 5K. So 5K plus $3,400 per year for the other items. So after 5 years, it would be a 22K operation. Now, once again, I advise my client to do something different because I found a service, they're a bit like PayPal, but they also do way more, just like in the previous example. So here's the breakdown between 3 and 5K for the website, $300 per year for the plugins, and $67 per month for the maintenance. So the total is 3K plus $804 per year. And after 5 years, it's an 8K operation. So as you can see in this example, the Woocommerce operation is almost 3 times the cost of the external solution. That's huge. That's even bigger than the previous one. I mean, that's after 5 years, but just if you look at the yearly breakdown. So with year one, just so the client pays the website, and then right away, he or she has to pay $3,400 per year for all the licenses, for the plugins, and so on. Whereas in the second example, all the client has to pay is about $800 per year. That's a huge difference. So just imagine if a client came to you and asked you for a quote for such a website, and initially you quote them, okay, 5K for the website and then $3,400 per year for all the other items. But then you tell them, listen, I have a better solution. You're going to pay 3K plus $800 per year. And you tell them after 5 years, the difference would be 22K for the first solution and 8K for the second solution. Don't you think they're going to love you for it? Especially if they got similar quotes like the 22K one from competitors, and then you come up with an 8K solution. Not only is this client going to trust you and respect you, but it's going to bring you so much business. It's going to be a referral machine because you've helped them, and that's a solution. You've helped them achieve something for a third of the price while building a top-notch solution. Because something that I did not mention in the first case study or this one or the next one is the fact that even though I'm using external services, I'm still using WordPress as a shell. So I still have the flexibility of using WordPress, and I'm using Elementor, for example, and I can do crazy stuff, and it's a beautiful professional website. The only thing is I'm incorporating the data part of the external service either by iframe, or maybe they have a plugin that automatically integrates into WordPress. And that makes it really easy, and it's really seamless for the end client. Okay, next case study is about digital goods, and I've actually experienced this one for myself. So the breakdown is like the website will be between 5K and 10K. And I know, of course, maybe you can build the website yourself and I can build it myself. But you always have to think, if I had to outsource this, if I had to pay someone to do it, how much would it cost? Because even if you are building it yourself, you need to count the hours that you're going to spend on this project. All the time you're going to spend is money. Time is money, right? So this is the way you have to think. So the website will be between 5 and 10K, plugins 1K per year, maintenance $200 per month. So it's a total of 5K plus $3,400 per year once again. So after 5 years, it would amount to 22K. Now, The real difference comes with the CP accountant. Because let's say you pay $500 per month, and I know maybe you pay $100 or maybe you pay $2,000, I don't know. But let's make it simple. Let's say you pay $500 per month because there are a lot of entries in this solution. For each sale, it's a new line for your CPA. Now, after 5 years, that would be $30K because $500 a month by 12 months, by 5 years, that's $30K. Now, if I use the external solution, so after 5 years, it's $8K. In this case, the CP accountant says, okay, given the volume, the lines that I need to integrate, it's going to be $200 per month. Because maybe instead of having a lot of different entries, you only have a few providers, but they pay you once per month. So the sheer volume. So even if you sold your item 1,000 times, they only make one payment. So it's going to be way cheaper with the CPA. So after 5 years, it's a 12K operation. So once again, it's like 2.5 times plus the 3 times between the 22K and the 8K. That's huge. That's so much money that you're saving and so much time and also so much tranquility for you. Less stress. I mean, in this solution, even though I love WordPress, I love WooCommerce, I love all the solutions that we get with WordPress, but the reality is this. If you want a stress-free life as a web designer, as a professional, or even if you are watching this video and you want to build an e-commerce website for yourself, you really want to lower your cost and you want to make your life stress-free. And that's why I think in this case, this is the best solution. Now, of course, if you have a bigger company and you have a financial department with 12 people working under you and they can take care of all of that, then maybe it's good to use WooCommerce because you're not concerned with the concerns I have and that I mentioned in this video. But for most other people, for small entrepreneurs, small businesses, freelancers, it's going to be way easier to use an external solution most of the time, in my opinion, and especially when it comes to digital goods. But as we saw, even for non-digital goods, it can make a difference. You need to find the right service provider. So it takes a lot of research. I'm not going to lie. It took me a lot of research. And, it's like it's a moving landscape. It's not set in stone. So there are new merchants of record appearing from time to time. Some are reliable, some others are not reliable. Now, choosing the right solutions for the job is part of the job, whether it's for you or for your clients. And especially if it's for your client, if you do this, they're going to love you for it and they're going to turn into a referral machine. Now, if you are interested in entrepreneurial tips when it comes to web design, building your web design studio, and so on, I got a playlist that you can find on my channel. I put a link in the description below. So I hope you got value out of this video. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up as it really helps growing this channel. And if you want more web design goodness, make sure you subscribe and smash the notification bell so that you don't miss anything. Now, don't forget, I'm trying to build the content I wish I had when I got started. So I'll see you in the next one. And until then, take care and stay safe.